Namaskar, I'm Harpreet Kaur and I welcome you all to our live and interactive session on teaching learning interventions for inclusive classrooms. You are watching us live on PMeVIDYA channel number 8 and also on our YouTube channel NCERT Official. Well, let me tell you that this session is specially meant for the students of class 8 and the subject that we have taken up today is English. Under the subject English, we are going to learn chapter number 1 of your textbook titled How the Camel Got His Hump. Well, it's very interesting and quite mysterious as well because I don't know the answer. I'm sure you are also looking forward to it. But before I introduce you all to our experts, let me tell you once again, the session is live and interactive, which means you can give us a call or you can write an email to us. So first of all, take down our phone number, which is 8800440559. In case you wish to connect with us instantly, you can definitely drop in your comments and suggestions on our YouTube channel NCERT Official. And last but not the least, we have a dedicated email ID for you on which you can share your feedback with us. Any suggestion is also welcome. The email ID is dth.class8@cert.nic.in. Well, all this information is also flashing on your screen. So time now for me to introduce you all to our experts for today. Well, for the topic, how the camel got his hump, I have been joined by Ms. Deepti Chawla. Ma'am, namaskar and welcome to the session.
Namaskar, thank you.
Well, ma'am is TGT English and a mentor teacher from Directorate of Education, Delhi, and she will be supported by our ISL interpreter, Ms. Anushka Sharma. Namaskar and welcome to the session. So the topic, it seems quite interesting and quite mystifying also, how the camel got his hump. Well, it's a big question. So what exactly it is? What are we going to learn today?
Okay, so Harpreet, today we are going to talk about how the camel got his hump.
Okay.
But what are we going to do today? Let's see on our screens. It's an interesting thing that we are going to do today. If you all look at your screen, now can you guess what are we going to do today?
Oh my god, now I'm confused. Well, the topic says camel, but here I can see a camel, a horse, a dog and an ox. So is it about all four of them?
Yes, it's about all four of them.
Okay.
And how the camel got his hump is not an informative text. It's going to be a story which has all these characters.
Wow, lovely. Well, it's going to be really exciting. So let me see how the story unfolds. And by the way, why have you mentioned the topic again and what are these dots?
Okay, so I have mentioned the topic again. It's the name of the story and on the screen you're looking at dots. Now these dots are actually Braille language.
Okay.
A lot of our students who want to study but have special needs, for them they use Braille language, especially if they cannot see. All of those students who do not share the same vision as us, eyesight as us, for them this language is extremely helpful.
Okay.
And they are able to read using this language. So this is called How the Camel Got His Hump. And as I told you earlier, it's a story. Let's quickly read and listen to the story. Are you excited?
I'm extremely excited and this seems quite interesting. Well, the page is also very colorful.
Yes. So this is grade 8 reader. It so happened, chapter number 1, How the Camel Got His Hump. Let us listen and read the story, children. Please look at your screen as you listen to me reading it out. In the beginning, when the world was new and the animals were just beginning to work for man, you know, we as men, as people, we make a lot of animals work for us.
Beast of burden.
Yes. There was a camel and he lived in the middle of a howling desert because he did not want to work. Now children, you must be wondering what is a desert,
Yeah,
right?
how it looks like.
Let's quickly take a look. Desert is a place full of sand. Now to see sand, if you look on the screen, I am showing you what sand looks like.
Wow.
See, this is sand. You know, this is a desert. In the desert, so you will have sand dunes here and there. So lot of animals are there on the desert, and
Yeah,
Animals like, can you tell me which animals do you easily find in desert?
oh yes, camel is the one that we easily find in desert. It's called ship of the desert.
Yes, and you also find insects like
Oh yes, there are spiders. We
spiders
find a lot of spiders, and we also find plants like cactus.
and also a lot of lizards.
Oh yes, yes.
And insects like scorpions. Scorpions are also there. So,
Very
okay.
common.
So, now this camel, he was in the middle of a howling desert because he did not want to work. He ate sticks and thorns and prickles, and when anybody spoke to him, he said, "Hump." The story of the camel. This is the camel whose story we are reading, and it lives on the sand, eats thorns and says, "Hump, hump, hump." Okay. So, he would just say hump and no more. Presently, the horse came to him on Monday morning with a saddle on his back and said, "Camel, oh camel, come out and trot like the rest of us." "Hump," said the camel, and the horse went away and told the man. Presently, the dog came to him with a stick in his mouth and said, "Camel, oh camel, come and fetch and carry like the rest of us." "Hump," said the camel, and the dog went away and told the man. Presently, the ox came to him with the yoke on his neck and said, "Camel, oh camel, come and plow like the rest of the us." "Hump," said the camel, and the ox went away and told the man. At the end of the day, the man called the horse and the dog and the ox together and said, "Three, oh three, I am very sorry for you, but that hump thing in the desert can't work, or he would have been here by now. So I am going to leave him alone, and you must work double time to make up for it." That made the three very angry, and they held a panchayat on the edge of the desert, and the camel came chewing cud and laughed at them. Then he said, "Hump," and went away again. Presently, there came along the jinn who was in charge of all deserts, rolling in a cloud of dust. Now on the screen you can see the jinn with the horse, the bull and the dog.
Yes.
Right? Now this jinn is a very powerful creature. It's a spirit next to angels.
Wow.
Yeah.
Must be having a lot of magical powers.
Of course. So then the horse said, "Jinn of all deserts, is it right for anyone to be idle?" "Certainly not," said the jinn. "Well," said the horse, "there is a thing in the middle of your desert with a long neck and long legs, and he hasn't done a stroke of work since Monday morning. He won't trot." "Phew," said the jinn, whistling. "That's my camel. What does he say about it?" "He says hump, and he won't plow," said the ox. "Very good," said the jinn. "I'll hump him if you will kindly wait a minute." So, why do you think the camel live in the middle of the desert?
Well, probably he was lazing around and was very comfortable in his space.
Or it could possibly be that the way desert, the sands and hot temperatures affect other animals, it doesn't affect that on him. Okay, what tasks do you think were assigned to the dog and the ox?
Of course, dog is very good in fetching, so we're supposed to fetch things and get the work done. And as far as ox is concerned, we have seen them working really hard in the fields and plowing the field.
Yes. So, whenever you will find oxen in employment of all the farmers.
Yes.
Now we have modern technologies, but when we initially started farming, all the plowing was done with the help of ox.
Right.
Right. So, in Hindi it is called hal. So, जो हल चलाते थे, ox हल चलाते थे.
Yes.
Okay. So, moving on to the story, children. Now, what do you think the jinn will do?
Maybe he will, show some magic to the camel and bring him to his original position. Take him to task, I guess.
To take him to task. All right. So, the jinn rolled himself up in the dust cloak and took a walk across the desert and found the camel looking at his own reflection in a pool of water. "My friend," said the jinn, "what's this I hear of you doing no work?" The jinn sat down with his chin in his hand while the camel looked at his own reflection in the pool of water. You have given the 3 extra work ever since Monday morning, all on account of your idleness, said the Jinn, and he went on thinking with his chin in his hand. Hump, said the Camel. I shouldn't say that again if I were you, said the Jinn. You might say it once too often. I want you to work. And the Camel said, Hump, again, but no sooner had he said it than he saw his back that he was so proud of puffing up into a great big hump. Do you see that? Do you see that? Said the Jinn. That's your very own hump that you brought upon your very own self by not working. Today is Thursday and you have done no work since Monday when the work began. Now you are going to work. How can I? Said the Camel. With this hump on my back. That has a purpose, said the Jinn. All because you missed those 3 days, you will be able to work now for 3 days without eating, because you can live on your hump. And don't you ever say I never did anything for you. Come out of the desert and go to the 3 and behave. And the Camel went away to join the 3. And from that day to this, the Camel always wears a hump. We call it a hump now, not to hurt his feelings, but he has never yet caught up with the 3 days yet that he missed at the beginning of the world, and he has never yet learned how to behave.
Well, that was quite an interesting story, I must say, and I have learned how the camel got his hump based on this story.
Oh yes, this story kind of explains why and how the camel got his hump, and how the hump actually also became helpful to him, right?
Exactly, in a way, because it has made him more adaptable to the conditions of the desert. But what is this name written at the bottom?
Oh, that's an interesting question, Harpreet.
Okay.
So, the name that's written at the bottom of the page is Rudyard Kipling.
Who was he?
He is the author of the story. So, the story has been written by Rudyard Kipling.
What a creative man he must have been.
Oh, yes.
So, can we know something more about him?
Of course. On your screens, children, if you look, so Rudyard Kipling is a very famous children's author. He has written a lot of stories and poems about British soldiers in India. He was a Britisher, but he was born and brought up in India, and eventually he moved to England in 1889. He did study in England in between as well. He was exposed to Indian art at a very young age, and he has worked as a journalist and a writer in India.
Wow.
He has published a lot of children's stories and poems as well, and one of his most famous works is the Jungle Book. Have you read the Jungle Book?
Of course, who can forget the Mowgli?
Oh yes, certainly. So Mowgli is extremely famous.
Yes.
We used to watch a lot of cartoons,
Yes.
and recently also there's a film made on the Jungle Book, which is very, very interesting. Would you like to know more about the chapter?
Why not? Because it has been quite interesting, but let's discuss characters now.
Alright, so the characters, as you can see, we have 4 characters, 4 main characters. Can you tell me the first one?
Of course, it's the camel.
Oh yes, and let's listen to Camel, how he says. What does he say?
Hump.
Okay, let's listen to how he says hump.
That's intriguing.
Oh yes. Okay, the second animal that you remember?
Yes, the horse.
Okay children, it's a small horse compared to the camel. I could not find a bigger horse. You can actually see the horse here as well, from the top camera while you, okay, this is a horse.
And how he trots.
Oh, how he trots. Oh, right. So,
okay.
And let's listen to the sound also.
Yeah. Wow, that's exactly the same.
Right. So, this sound that you hear, one was the horse neighing, and the other one, the way he walks, that's called trotting. Okay.
Right.
The next animal is a
sweet dog.
Sweet dog. Everyone loves a dog.
Yes.
Can you all see the dog?
Of course.
See the
How
dog?
cute the dog is.
Right. Okay. So let's listen how the dog sounds. All right.
Well, dog is an interesting character. He was also one of the hardworking animals in the story.
Oh, yes.
And now time for the most hardworking.
Most hardworking animal, the ox. You can
Yes.
see the ox on screen, right?
Yeah.
So he works a lot. He has been helping us farm our lands, plow our fields,
Yes.
right?
To pull the carriages.
To pull the
carts.
carriages, and this is how our ox sound.
Yes.
All right, so these are the 4 animals, children, as you can see: a horse, an ox, a dog, and the camel.
But you're forgetting one.
Who?
One more, the most important and the magical character in the story.
The jinn.
Yes.
Oh, yes. So the jinn is a powerful spirit who helps solve problems.
Okay.
I have never met a jinn. Nobody has met a jinn, I believe. I'm not sure. He's a character that appears most in stories. Another famous story in which jinn appears is the Arabian Nights.
Absolutely. And children are so fascinated to
Yes.
just hear
It's
about the
another
jinn.
very interesting story,
Yes.
but for another day, not
Yes,
today.
for another day, yes.
Right. Okay. So then we move to the next slide.
Okay. So after characters, what are we up to? I think you're going to tell me something about fake law.
Yes, maybe. So no, the camel's behavior. Okay, you tell me, what do you think of camel's behavior?
I think Camel was just lazing around. He was lazy and very comfortable in his surrounding. Didn't want to work. Yeah.
Or is it possible that camel was not denying any work and nobody was able to communicate with him properly? Is that possible?
Of course, that can be another side of the coin. Why
Right.
not?
And what did he eat? What do camels eat? What did we
Well,
find
those
out?
shrubs in the desert, those plants, and they
Right.
can go on without eating for so many days as well.
They'll eat a lot of thorns,
Yeah.
sticks, cactus even.
Yes.
Right, and he only said hump because that's similar to the sound that we heard,
Yes.
right, just a little while back. So it is possible that he was just misunderstood. Maybe we don't know.
Maybe. We can
right?
give him the benefit of doubt.
Right.
But he was a lazy bee.
Let's quickly also look at what the other animals
Yes.
tried to do, right?
Sure.
So the horse asked the camel to trot. Trot is the way horse moves.
Right.
Do you think the camel can trot?
No.
No. Dog asks camel to fetch and carry. Do you think a camel can fetch like a dog?
No, not at all.
All right. And the ox asks camel to plow. Do you think that kind of task is appropriate for a camel?
Well, he can do it to a bit, but not exactly like an ox.
Right. And camel says hump each time.
Yes.
So is he saying no, or maybe the tasks that are expected of him are themselves not right?
Yeah.
Like perhaps they were asking him to do things that he was not able to, or
Yeah.
he could not have done.
Absolutely.
Maybe. Right?
Yeah.
So these are the ideas, children, you need to also keep in mind while reading and appreciating this story, that probably camel was not all that lazy and all that bad as he was projected to be. And the man's decision was to make the other animals work harder because he could not make camel work.
Yes.
And they got angry and the animals got angry, which was justified.
Yes.
And then the jinn enters the story and he arrives and he wants to solve the problem. He was like a class monitor.
Yeah.
Right? He was the leader of everyone. And jinn talks to the camel. Camel continues to say hump. And then he gets the actual hump. So children, if you look on your screens, this part of camel's body, this part is the hump of the camel, this portion, and it stores a lot of fat, energy and also water, and the camel can survive in deserts without eating for days at end. So sometimes a camel can go on without working for as long as 7 days.
Oh wow,
Yes.
that's interesting trivia. But you
Right.
know what? Camel also learned something from this story.
Camel
he was taught a
learns.
lesson.
Yes.
And what lesson?
So camel joins the other animals. He wears his hump now. He learns that he needs to work harder and respond in a positive manner. Now, a very, very important question.
Oh yes, it also came to my mind because now they've learned that how Camel got his hump. Is it really the fact? That's how exactly he got it?
Let's look at our next slide on screen.
Okay.
This is a story, and not all stories are factually true.
Okay.
They are not factually correct. So, if you look at the slide, you will see we have presented certain facts. The hump function, storing fat and energy. This is an adaptation to all the, this is a special adaptation that camel has for surviving long periods without waters. Long legs, thick fur, those are physical traits helping to survive, and it basically the kind of work a camel can do is to carry loads in deserts. Now, this is completely fake lore that the camel is lazy and keeps on saying hump. The jinns are again imaginary characters, they may or may not have actual existence. Hump's purpose in story allows working without eating for 3 days. That's not exactly why camel has an hump. It's an adaptation, right? We all have adapted one or other time during the process of evaluation. That camel's adaptation. And the story also personifies animals, a talking horse, a talking dog, a talking ox. That's also not like factually correct, but it's a story. It's to develop imagination. It's another way of presenting things that we observe around us, and it was also for fun, for enjoying the way how we can tell stories, a simple thing, a story of adaptation, but how we can have more fun with it. So, children, this is not a factually correct story. The story was more for having fun and enjoying the story.
Exactly.
Key takeaways of the story. Can you tell me what the key takeaway is?
Of course, because I think the work is very important. Any kind of work is important, and you shouldn't be lazy.
Right.
You should be really hardworking.
Also, teamwork makes it easier. Everyone gets a chance to contribute, so the task becomes easy.
Right.
Now, let's quickly take a look at new words. Jinn, many of you may not have known it, a spirit, a magical spirit, and then hump, then cud. Cud, what do you know what cud is?
I don't know. Please explain.
You will usually find an ox chewing cud or a cow chewing cud. Basically, when they eat, when these animals eat, they chew grass or leaves, and then it's actually half digested, and it's actually again chewed upon. So, lot of cows and oxes chew their half digested food again by bringing it out, and that is called cud.
That's another interesting trivia. Wow, learning so much in this session.
All right.
Okay.
Now, let's quickly look at the homework, children, on your screens. How was the camel at the start? What did the jinn do to the camel? What lesson does the story teach? How are the horse, dog, ox and camel different? Imagine you are one of the animals. How do you feel about the camel's change? Modified homework. These are fill in the blanks, children, and we have also provided a word bank. At the beginning of the story, the camel was very dash. The jinn gave the camel a dash to help him work harder. Third, the main lesson of the story is that everyone should dash their part. Fourth, the horse, dog and ox were dashed because the camel did not help. After getting his hump, the camel started to dash with the other animals.
Right, and that's how you will compile the homework and present it to us. This is the homework format. Write your name, your school name and address, date of the session, name of the experts is already there, and send us your photograph, but it's totally optional, and mail your homework to us on the email ID that we've been mentioning. This is dth.class8@ciet.nic.in. Well, what an interesting story that was, and how many words I've learned today, I only know. And of course, the fake lore thing, that was pretty new. I have heard of folklore, but never of fake lore. So, I would like to just thank my expert, Deepti ma'am. Thank you so much for your lovely contribution to the session. It was an interesting story and an equally fabulous narration, I must say.
Thank you, thank you.
And I would also like to thank my ISL interpreter, Miss Anushka. Thank you so much for your contribution to the session as well. And now viewers, it's time for me to wrap up today's session over here. Well, we all have learned how the camel got his hump as a fake law, and it was very interesting, very funny. And now, before I leave the studio, let's quickly take a look at the schedule. Well, what's coming ahead? Let's watch it on your screen. So this is the entire list of programs that we have lined up for you. Well, at 2 p.m. you will watch a session on English titled Ice Cream Man. This will be followed by another session of Hindi at 2:30 p.m. Well, 3 p.m. will be the time for our session of science. At 3:30 we will bring you a session on mathematics titled Addition and Subtraction. 4 to 5 p.m. will be the time for online training session in Hindi, and at 5 p.m. we will bring you our session Sahyog. And now in a short while from now you will watch another session of ours. Yes, that will be Eat Radui Pitara. So please stay tuned for wonderful, exciting programs. I will see you very soon. Take care and